A dimly lit bedroom, rain pattering softly against the window. Occasional thunder, a faint ticking clock. They say when it rains, the skies are crying for us. I used to find comfort in that thought. But on this night, as the rain lashed against my window, it felt like the universe was warning me. Telling me something was about to shatter in ways I could never piece back together. I was sitting at the edge of the bed, holding my phone, a message notification dings, breaking the silence. It started with a single text. Just one, innocently told in. Can we talk? It's important. The message was from Maura, my husband's business partner's wife. Her name lit up on my phone like a signal flare in the night. Maura and I were never close. She was always polite and distant, the kind of woman you'd admire from afar but never truly know. But this text, it felt different. Urgent. A knot began to form in my stomach as I stared at those 3 words. A cozy, upscale cafe, bustling with soft chatter. Maura, impeccably dressed, sitting nervously at a corner table. When I arrived at the cafe, Maura was already there, her hands clasped tightly around a coffee cup. Her usually flawless makeup seemed rushed, her eyes darting around like she was expecting someone to jump out and confront her. I sat opposite Maura, who struggled to meet my gaze. Soft rain continued outside. My heart pounding in my chest. Maura, I said, my voice sharper than I intended, what's going on? She looked up at me then, her lips trembling like she was holding back tears. Your husband and I, we need to talk about them. A sudden clap of thunder echoes, startling both of us. My heart stopped. I leaned back, feeling the world tilt slightly. What about my husband? I asked, though deep down, I already knew I wouldn't like the answer. Maura slides a phone across the table, her hand trembling. She didn't say a word. Instead, she handed me her phone. And there it was. Photos. Text. My husband and her, together, in ways I couldn't unsee. And there was a faint ringing noise, as if the world is spinning out of control. I sat in the darkness, clutching my phone. Shadows flicking as I waited alone for my husband to return home. The ticking of a wall clock, the faint hum of a distant car engine. The images Maura had shown me were burned into my mind. My hands shook, not from fear but from pure, unfiltered rage. I'd loved this man, trusted him. And this was how he repaid me. The front door creaks open, and my husband walks in, oblivious. You're late, I said, my voice slicing through the silence like a blade. He froze, his keys dangling in his hand. Work ran late, he mumbled, avoiding my eyes. A glass shattering in the background, symbolic of my broken trust. Was it work? Or was it Maura? I stood then, thrusting my phone into his face. The color drained from his cheeks as he saw the photos. And just like that, every lie he told me came crashing down. My husband stumbles backward, stammering excuses, his voice overlapping with my furious words. I dug deeper, revealing more layers of deceit through text messages on his phone, receipts from hotels, and whispered conversations with Maura. I wasn't just angry. I was hungry for the truth. Every step I took, every secret I uncovered, painted a picture of a man I didn't recognize. A man who had been leading a double life right under my nose. There were flashbacks of happier times, family dinners, romantic getaways, interwoven with shots of my husband and Maura together. Was it all a lie? The love he showed me, the promises he made. Or was this the real him? I confronted Maura's husband at his office, revealing the affair. Tension escalates as the 2 men nearly come to blows. Raised voices, the slamming of a desk. But it wasn't just my husband. Maura's husband knew too. I learned something even darker. My husband wasn't just having an affair. He was planning to take everything, our home, our savings, our future. There were shocked faces, the dramatic lighting casting harsh shadows. I drove through a storm, my face set with determination, as I headed toward an undisclosed location. It was raining, windshield wipers stomping. As I breathed heavily. I wasn't done. Not yet. They thought they could betray me and walk away unscathed. But they had no idea who they were dealing with. The game wasn't over, it was just beginning. I sat at my home office, staring at the evidence I'd gathered, a desk covered in papers, photos, and every text, every receipt, every whisper of deceit. They were all laid out before me like a roadmap to betrayal. My hands trembled as I pieced it all together, but not from fear. No, this was anger. Cold. Calculated. I wasn't going to confront them empty-handed. If they wanted to play games, I was ready to flip the board. The room was dimly lit, with a single desk lamp casting a warm glow. A small recorder sits in the corner, its red light blinking. Occasional thunder rumbling outside. I placed some photos into an envelope and slid it into my bag. I'd spent weeks pretending to forgive him. Letting him think I didn't know. Watching him smile at me while texting her under the table. But tonight, that all ends. Tonight, they'll know what it feels like to lose everything. A lavish dinner table set with candles and fine china. I dressed elegantly, sitting across from my husband. He's laughing, his phone face down on the table. I was sweet but bitterly sarcastic. He thought we were having a quiet dinner. Just the two of us. A chance to rekindle the romance. I let him think that. I even laughed at his jokes, though each one sounded emptier than the last. And when he excused himself to check his phone, I just smiled. Because I'd already seen everything on it. My husband walks out of the room, his phone buzzing. My smile faded as I watched him go. I leaned forward and retrieved my phone from my bag. What he didn't know was that I wasn't sitting at this table alone. Mora's husband was listening. I'd called him an hour before dinner, and he was parked just down the street, ready to help me pull the rug out from under them both. I followed my husband, who sneaked out of the house holding his phone. I trailed him to a hotel lobby, where he nervously checks in. My heart pounded in my chest, but I wasn't scared. No, this was adrenaline. Pure, unrelenting adrenaline. As I watched him disappear into the elevator, I knew I had only moments to act. I quickly pulled out my phone and dialed Mora's husband, whispering instructions. The husband pacing in the parking lot, anger flashing in his eyes. We stormed the hotel together. Two betrayed spouses, united by the lies that had bound us for so long. And when we reached the door to their room, I didn't hesitate. I pounded on it, my voice shaking the walls. Open the door, now. The loud thudding of fists on the door, there were muffled voices inside scrambling in panic. The door burst open, revealing my husband and Mora inside, disheveled and wide-eyed. The room is chaotic, clothes strewn everywhere. My voice breaking, teary. I'll never forget the look on his face when he saw me standing there. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't regret. It was annoyance. Like I was the one inconveniencing him. He said, "Why are you here? You don't understand, this isn't what it looks like." I responded, "Not what it looks like." "Then tell me, what is it?" "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like betrayal." Mora burst into tears, covering her face, while her husband confronts her furiously. Mora's husband, yelling, "You said it was over. You said you ended it. How long has this been going on? Tell me the truth." I whispered to my husband, "I gave you everything. My trust, my love. And this is how you repay me." Glass shattering as I threw a vase to the ground, punctuating my anger. I left the hotel, leaving my husband and Maura arguing behind me. I got into my car, my hands trembling as I gripped the steering wheel. The roar of the engine, the faint sound of rain starting to fall. I thought leaving would make me feel better. I thought exposing them would heal the wound they left in me. But as I drove away, tears streaming down my face, I realized something: this wasn't over. Not yet. My phone buzzed in the passenger seat. It's a text from Maura's husband. "There's more you need to know. Call me." More? What more could there possibly be? What other secrets were they hiding? Maura's husband then say, "It's not just an affair. It's something much worse." This wasn't just betrayal. This was something I never saw coming. And now, I'm in more danger than I ever imagined. But there was a time when everything was perfect, right, and beautiful. Let me start from the very beginning, before the betrayal, the secrets that started it all. We once had a perfect marriage. It's a sunny morning, and I'm in a cozy bedroom. I was sleeping peacefully with my husband. The soft glow of sunlight filters through white curtains, creating a warm and idyllic atmosphere. This was the time I thought I had it all. A loving husband, a beautiful home, and a life so picture-perfect it could have been a dream. But dreams have a way of turning into nightmares when you least expect it. I woke up and glanced at my husband, who was still asleep. I smiled faintly, brushing a strand of hair from his face. I used to believe in fairy tales. In love that lasts forever. But now, looking back, I can see it, the cracks that had always been there, waiting to shatter everything. A bustling office environment. I sat at my desk, surrounded by files and my laptop. My phone buzzed beside me. I picked it up and saw a message from my husband: "Working late again tonight. Don't wait up." Immediately my expression changed. At first, I didn't think much of it. Late nights were normal for him. His job was demanding, and I was proud of his ambition. But that night, something felt different. I scrolled through my text and noticed a pattern: more and more late nights, fewer affectionate messages. I hesitate, hovering my finger over the call button, without pressing it. It was just a text. Just another night. Or so I told myself. But deep down, a seed of doubt had already taken root. I was in the bedroom, tidying up. I picked up Hobby's suit jacket from the floor and froze. As I pulled something from the pocket, a wedding ring. I stared at the ring in my palm. It was his wedding ring. The one he swore he never took off. I told myself it must have slipped off somehow. Maybe he'd taken it off to wash his hands and forgotten. But why was it in his pocket? Why wasn't it on his finger? I placed the ring back on the dresser, my expression thoughtful but troubled. That was the first time I felt it, the sharp edge of something I couldn't explain. A question I didn't dare ask. A quiet night at home. I lay awake in bed while my husband was in the bathroom. There was a muffled sound of his voice echoing faintly through the door. A faint hum of the bathroom fan, a hushed voice speaking rapidly. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. I wasn't even sure what I'd heard. But as I lay there, staring at the ceiling, I realized he was on the phone. At 11 p.m. Who was he talking to? And why didn't he want me to hear? The bathroom door opens, and my husband walks out, smiling casually. I pretended to be sleeping, my heart racing as he slipped into the bed beside me. I wanted to ask him. To demand an answer. But I didn't. Instead, I closed my eyes and waited for sleep that never came. I stood in the kitchen, sorting through the trash to throw something away. My hand brushes against the crumpled receipt. The crinkle of paper as I unfold the receipt. The background noise fades into silence. It was from a restaurant. A place we'd never been. A dinner for two, dated the night he'd claimed to be working late. My stomach twisted as I stared at it, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. I clutched the receipt, my hands trembling slightly. My breath quickens as I glance toward the door, where my husband's shoes sit neatly by the mat. It could have been a client. It could have been anything. But in my gut, I knew it wasn't. I sat on the couch, scrolling through my phone. A notification pops up with a sharp ding, a message from an unknown number. You deserve to know the truth. An ominous silence. At first, I thought it was spam. A prank. But then I opened it. The screen shows a blurry photo of my husband at a restaurant, sitting across from a woman whose face isn't visible. There he was. Laughing. Smiling. Acting like the man I thought I knew. And suddenly, the pieces started to fall into place. I waited in a coffee shop, my hands clutching a cup of coffee. Across the table sits a nervous-looking woman, her hands fidgeting in her lap. The faint chatter of other patrons, the clink of coffee cups. She said her name was Maura. She said she'd been in my shoes once, that she'd seen my husband with another woman. I didn't want to believe her, but as she spoke, the truth became impossible to ignore. I stared at the woman, her jaw tightening. As the flashback of my husband laughing with the mysterious woman from the photo. I didn't know who to trust. But I knew one thing for sure, I wasn't going to let this go. I sat alone in the dark, my phone glowing in my hand. I dialed a number, my fingers trembling slightly. The faint buzz of the phone ringing, followed by a deep male voice on the other end. I called Maura's husband. I didn't know what I'd say, but I needed answers. What he told me shattered any hope I had left. A dimly lit home office. I sat at my desk, flipping through my husband's planner and logging into his email. The screen reflects off my face, and my eyes widen as I find an airline itinerary for two. I told myself I wasn't the type to snoop. But when trust is shattered, what else do you have? That's when I found it, an itinerary for two. A business trip he never mentioned. And a ticket under her name. A flashback showed my husband packing a suitcase while casually brushing off questions about his travel plans. My jaw clenched in fury. He lied to me. Again. And I knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that he was hiding something. I met a coworker of my husband in a secluded park. The coworker glances around nervously before speaking, her face pale and tense. She didn't want to meet me. She was scared, hesitant. But when I told her what I knew, she broke down and told me everything. His coworker revealed that she had seen my husband and the other woman at a hotel during the supposed business trip. She pulled out her phone and showed me blurry photos. It wasn't just a suspicion anymore. It was real. And I wasn't the only one who knew about it. I sat inside my car just outside a restaurant. I held my phone, watching the GPS tracker I secretly placed on my husband's car. The screen blinks, showing he's at the restaurant. I knew where he was. I knew who he was with. And I was done waiting for him to tell me the truth. I step out of the car, my heels clicking sharply against the pavement as I approached the restaurant. My face was a mix of anger and heartbreak. An upscale restaurant. As I walk in and scan the room, my gaze lands on my husband, laughing with another woman at a private table. The clinking of glasses and faint chatter fade into silence as I step closer. There he was, sitting across from her like nothing was wrong. Like he wasn't ripping our lives apart with every lie he told. I confronted them. My husband's face falls, and the woman looks away, embarrassed. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just told him I knew. And in that moment, the world he'd built on lies began to crumble. Later that night, I sat at home, sifting through documents I took from my husband's briefcase. My eyes widen as I find a contract signed by the other woman's husband, a major deal that ties their businesses together. I took a sharp deep breath. It wasn't just personal. It was professional. They were tied together in ways I hadn't even begun to understand. A flashback shows my husband and the woman's husband shaking hands at a party, their smiles hiding secrets. This wasn't just a betrayal. It was a web of lies, and I was caught right in the middle of it. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at my phone. I dialed Maura's husband, my hand trembled slightly. The ringing of the phone, followed by a deep male voice, answered. I didn't know what I was hoping to hear. But when he spoke, I realized he already knew. We made a pact that night. We'd work together to uncover the truth, no matter what it took. I secretly followed my husband to a private villa. I peered through a window, watching as he embraces the other woman. The muffled laughter of the couple inside contrasted with my heavy breathing as I tried to control my emotions. They weren't even trying to hide it anymore. They thought they'd gotten away with it. But they had no idea what was coming. I was sitting alone in the dark, my face illuminated by my laptop screen. I typed out an email, attaching photos and documents I collected as evidence. My finger hovers over the send button. I could end it all with one click. Destroy their lives the way they destroyed mine. But part of me wondered, was that enough? The screen fades to black just as my finger presses the button. This wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the story. Kindly subscribe, like and share for more interesting stories.